All right, looks like we're waiting for people to populate. And once we get enough people in here, we shall get started. All right, let's see what the cat drags in. Let's see what the cat drags in. All right, looks like we got some people popping in here. All right, so we're literally just getting started, guys. So if you've got questions or answers or whatever you want to talk about, post that in the chat, and we shall get started. Obviously, it's not dependent on you doing that. But the reality is, there's a couple major things happened today that everybody needs to know about. And if you don't, well, you're either uninformed, clueless, or don't really understand that your government is now doing things that are good for you. I'll be posting some links to different groups, letting them know that we're here today. But the bottom line is that the Supreme Court just handed a massive, massive blow to the leftists. Lawfare. If you disagree, put something in the chat. Yeah, that's it. So do me a favor, guys, pump up those likes, and we can get this party started. Like I said, I'm in the process of transferring over some links to get the live stream completely fired up. It'll take me a second. Do me a favor, make sure that you populate the chat, and then we can go from there. We're going to turn that off. I need to get this over, and I think we're basically going to be ready to go. Dum 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 going live, and good evening, everyone. And we'll get that link over to them. EVEN. Everyone. Boom. We're going to slam that over there. Okay, if you guys didn't know, this is my political channel. I'm in the process of swapping. Hey, what's up, West Virginia Pappy? Sup? I'm in the process of swapping out the names on the TikTok side because I want this to be more of a political channel, and so that I can keep my preparedness channel clean and ready to go. For the 4 people that looks like West Virginia Pappy is omnipresent. For the 4 people that are watching on the YouTube side, do me a favor, put something in the chat, let me know you're live, and we shall have a conversation. So I'm going to say some things that are going to piss some liberals off today. And I mean, that is going to happen. They're not going to like it. And I will tell them if they're being irrational, foolish. You should know that the goal of these live streams, what's up, bro? It's good to see you. The goal of these live streams, and if you, by the way, guys, if you say hi, I'll say hi back. It's that easy. Also, make sure that you share the lives out to people to get the word out, because my goal is to get true Democrats out of the echo chambers that they are hiding in or are stuck in before it is too late. I have several friends that are hardcore, deep blue liberals, and some of them are starting to come around to being just good old-fashioned Democrats, to where adults can have a conversation and disagree on things and meet in the middle for the better good. Things like that. And that's the goal. That's really the goal of these live streams that I'm doing right now on the political side of the channel. So once again, if you want to communicate, and also on the TikTok side, by the way, TikTok, because I can bring you in and have a conversation with you in person. If you want to do that, simply let me know in the chat, and I will be happy to turn it on. I did it yesterday for Jose, had a great conversation with this guy. Great conversation. And you could do the same thing too. So keep that in mind as you listen to the things that I've had to say. Now, obviously, we're going to start with, the Supreme Court. Some major stuff happened today, and probably the biggest thing that happened today is going to be their finding on it's Trump versus CASA, and it's actually about birthright citizenship. And unfortunately, it's directly connected to nationwide injunctions, so it's absolutely huge. Huge. All right, looks like I've got a comment over here. I'm not surprised by the recent ruling. The Supreme Court is curtailing judicial activism. Yes, absolutely. And you know what, guys? Put stuff in the comments. I'm going to grab my glasses. It's like 100 steps that way and 100 steps back. I'll be right back so I can actually read. My eyes are kind of blown out. Have long time no see. Oh, what's up, Firefly? Good to see you. Good to see you. Give me 1 second. I swear I'll be right back. My glasses out here. Really need to. 1 second. 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 1 22 steps, not 100. Okay, so we got Rose, Mahak Shalik. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Let's see here. Firefly checked in, and we got some sharing going on. This is a huge thing, because it's the beginning of the birthright citizenship conversation. I'll say it, anchor babies. Okay. The Supreme Court is full of activists. I would say 5-4. That's what I would say. Most of the people that, let's just say that 5 out of the 9 actually follow the Constitution, and the other 4 have a tendency to lean towards socialism. You do the math. Wow, thought you got banned from this app. Where you been? Well, it's not broke. No, I just gave up on it. I just gave up on it because they were allowing too many, blue-haired, creepy people or freaky people just pushing buttons and, causing problems. It's TikTok is now, because they're under such scrutiny, they're allowing much more free speech. So I noticed as I came back to TikTok just to tool around, right? Just to look around. And it was like every other channel was somebody with something in their background saying, Donald Trump sucks, tell me otherwise, or is this what you voted for? And I'm just like, well, where's the ones that actually talk about like America? For on the TikTok side, it's going to be, the name of the channel is going to be changing, so you'll see a change in the logo. It's going to say red, white, and real, like as in REAL, because that's what this channel is really about. It's about real conversations with real people. And if you're acting like a fool, I'm going to tell you you're acting like a fool. They don't follow the Constitution. Who is they, Jim? Who is they that don't do it? Do you believe we should allow the family members of cartel members in the U.S.? I don't know how to say your name. Beating goo. That sounds dirty, man. Beating goo. I think that you're asking a very foolish ambush type question. That's what I think. That's what I think, Beating goo. But that's my personal opinion, and that's just the way it is. Let's see here. Mahak says, "How are you, my brother? Can you tell me? You my messenger?" Reply, "No, brother." I don't know what that is, Mahak. I don't know what that is. But this is a major blow to the left's lawfare agenda. If you didn't catch the last live stream on TikTok yesterday, it was mostly about how, and I need to freeze these because you guys are like, there you go. I try to read every single comment until the comments get crazy, like out of control too fast, that kind of thing. So yesterday's live stream was very much about just having conversations, getting Democrats out of the liberal echo chamber. Because if you're a liberal, there is a mental disorder. There's a disconnect. There's a stunted, arrested development into adulthood where everything is about emotions and nothing's about facts. And it's an issue. It's a true issue. If I want to say something snide, it would be like seek medical attention. But I think that it's just easier to talk to you and like actually have a real conversation. I see a couple of you trying to do that, and that's what we're going to do. But with the birthright citizenship thing, which has not been, they did not rule on that. They did not rule on the grounds or basis or merits of the case, as it's called, on birthright citizenship. That will be taken care of in October. And I think what's going to happen is that's going to be streamlined so that people who people who came here illegally, whether bad or good, had a child, and somehow they're now considered American citizens. That is no longer the case. And so what is going to happen is they're going to actually have to go to court and prove that they're good. They're going to have to come up with a process. You know what I'm saying? A process that is fair and equitable for children or now adults it's not their fault their parents came here illegally. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's going to be, if we could go back to the way immigration was in the 80s, it could be a very, very nice thing for some aliens. You know what I'm saying? as far as if here's the key thing. You have to understand that there's a vast difference between the term immigrant and migrant. Okay, these people who migrated here are not immigrants. It's that easy. Okay. An immigrant is somebody who has immigrated. They've gone through a process. They've gone through the gates. People who know their name, they know their background, they know their intentions. That's what an immigrant is. All right. A migrant is just somebody who's here. They're either legal or they're illegal. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. All right. And then the other part of that case, which is Trump versus CASA. It was a 6-3 ruling. So we're not talking 5-4. We're talking 6-3, which basically said that, yeah, district court judges, you're freaking done. You're absolutely done. And I don't want to like regurgitate Fox News talking points. But unfortunately, on this particular case, that's where you can actually find the real news. Once again, get out of your freaking echo chambers. Basically, this came down to some simple facts where these district court judges have decided that they want to control the agenda, or they want to manage. They think they're kings. They think that they can do something because of their political affiliation instead of just doing the job that they're hired to do, that they're entrusted to do. A judge is supposed to be fair. A judge is supposed to follow the law, and the judge is supposed to follow the Constitution. It's that easy. They're not supposed to be making up willy-nilly stuff, okay? And that's what's been happening. So over there on the YouTube side, I see there's some more people. Make sure you check in and say hello. I want to talk to you. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll back up because I see Beaten Goo. It just sounds dirty, man. That's not an answer. Well, I don't work for you, okay? So I'm going to look at what you're saying. Do you believe we should allow the family members of cartel members in the U.S.? Well, I mean, let's since we're going to freaking, since we're just going to make up shit, let's go for it. Let's see, cartel member, teenage son comes over the border illegally. He claims asylum, says his father is the leader of the cartel whatever, and he fears for his life and he wants nothing to do with it. Yes, there's your answer. There's your answer. But if we're just going to play this game where, they happen to be over here and now they're in America, do you believe they should be here? Well, if you want to play what ifs, what if your dog had a square ass, would he shit bricks? There's an answer for you, buddy. All right, let's see here. User, prison number 1853363914119. Get in the settings on your profile and make yourself a name so people can talk to you. Don't be a moron. So the question is, the only way to end birthright citizenship is through an amendment to the Constitution. That is incorrect. Birthright citizenship was set up via law through the Congress several years back, it's like over 50 years ago. Okay? And so it had nothing to do with the Constitution. Who's your daddy? Not you. Not you. Let's see. Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Are you my Jordan? I haven't heard from Jordan in a long time since I got off TikTok. It's good to see you. Hello from Charlotte. Let's see. Boom Boom Billy. I like that name. I live in Oklahoma. I can assure you I'm not in an echo chamber and I still feel the way I do. Well, feelings are important, so keep them to yourself. Facts are more important. Let's talk about those. We got another prison. It's the same prison number. It's a fact that the Constitution can only be changed by an amendment. Yes, that is true. That is true. And that is true. But what you were talking about earlier is not true. Trump's whooping ass. Well, he is. He said you'd get tired of winning, and we're not there yet. But yeah, keep going, man. Jordan says, thank you for explaining that. I was curious to know how government would handle those already here under birthright citizenship. Yeah, like I said, that's not going to be brought up until October. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's some legal mumbo jumbo required for it, Let's see here. American First says, I've reported 64 now. Reported, what are you talking about? Oh, reported illegal aliens? I don't know if I'd be keeping score, man. That's generally not nice. America First says, hopefully I'll hit 100 by Sunday. Okay. West Virginia Pappy says, What do we got? Oh, wait, I got some other people over here. We got Ian popped in. We got Rose Steller, and we have Pilgrim. Good. Hello. Hello. All right, let's see here. West Virginia Pappy, people don't want to assimilate anymore. They want the culture they left here. You know, is there a reward for reporting illegals? Well, I tell you what, I've started to see some talk about bounty hunters that have been approached by ICE, and they're talking like $1,000 a head. Okay. But I would be very careful with that. Be very careful because it would only take like one wrong person, and in if you might approach the wrong person who's got the wrong boom boom strapped to their leg, and it might be a bad day for that person who thinks that he's going to get $1,000 for somebody. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that is starting to come up. It's something that's starting to come up. But yeah, West Virginia Pappy, the assimilation is an issue. I have no problem, and no one should have a problem with a cultural identity. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I lived in San Ysidro, California. I was the only white boy on the block. I understood La Familia, and I watched Mexicans run through my yard every single night. Not a joke, like real Mexicans, not like Mexican Americans. You know what I'm saying? No, there's no such thing. They're just Americans. No, because you can't tell them that. If you grew up in the Bronx and you got your ass beat with a wooden spoon and you ate pasta fazool once a week, you know what I'm saying? Well, you're Italian and you're an Italian American. You know what I'm saying? Or you're an American of Italian descent. You're one of those things. But there's cultural stuff there, okay? But their family, the immigrant portion of that family, immigrant, okay, as in to immigrate, all right, not migrate. They know that there were rules, and they knew they were coming here to be Americans, and that there was a certain way things ran in America, and that's what's missing. That's what's missing. Woozer says Trump will put a cartel guy in his cabinet. Name. Give me the name. Give me the name. We'll do the research right now, Woozers. Right now. And as long as it's not out of Axios or the Washington Times, or CNN, we're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna have a great conversation. Let's see here. Joseph says Woozers only the light-skinned ones. That's ridiculous. What's up, Outer Limits? What's going on, Captain? My Captain. Let's see. Jordan says I'm not sure if I'm your Jordan. Laugh out loud. But I've been following your TikTok for a while now and miss your lives. Well, I appreciate you, girl. I appreciate you. There are several Jordans. Were you ever part of my Discord, Jordan? Because I actually think we used to have two Jordans. Let's see here. New York Jets. That's awesome. Liberals have guns too. You're right. Absolutely. They're Americans. Good for them. They may even be able to use it better than the average guy, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? And the assumption that it does is foolish. Let's see here. West Virginia Pappy says you can respect your culture without changing the country. Absolutely. New York Jet says, and weren't freeloading. That's the truth. That's truth. You were being facetious. Woozers. Okay, you were being facetious. I agree. I'll accept that. I think that's great. But the other court case that came up was it's about what they call the free exercise clause. That was Mahmoud versus Taylor, and basically the court addressed issues related to the free exercise clause. It's part of the Constitution. Ruling that the government is not required to conduct its affairs in ways that align with specific religious practices. The decision reinforces case law, emphasizing limits on mandating government accommodation of religious beliefs. Basically, stay out of our frickin' religion is what it was all about. And then there was Kennedy versus Braidwood Management, which is ironic because it was a person against a business, a company. And this one dealt with parental rights and education. Let's see. And where are we at here? So the court upheld the right of parents in Maryland to opt their children out of school lessons involving LGBTQ themes, affirming parental authority over education content. Absolutely huge. Are absolutely huge. These books that they're pretending aren't pornography, that aren't pedophilia. It's like, oh, kinder, gentler. Let's Tommy and Bobby want to have butt sex. It's like, no, these don't belong in our libraries, and it's directly related to the religious connotation as well, because the parents can now actually say, you cannot do this without me knowing. So now all these schools have to start sending flyers home saying, hey, Bobby may be exposed to a little bit of, pedophilia or man boy love association type stuff. So sign this piece of paper saying it's okay to show him, otherwise he's got to go spend an hour in the cafeteria. I was not part of your Discord. I got you, Jordan. So you're a different Jordan. You're just a different Jordan. But it's pretty insane that we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court for this common sense to kick in. It's kind of mind blowing if you think about it. Jordan says, but I remember West Virginia Pappy and a couple of the followers who joined your TikTok lives often. Well, I'll be honest with you, Jordan. I do YouTube lives every Friday, and I'm still making videos on YouTube. But since the girlfriend caught cancer, things have slowed down a little bit. But I still do my preparedness lives 10 a.m. Eastern every Friday. Thoughts on New York Communist Zohan Mayor candidate? That's pretty crazy stuff that's happened on. So from a constitutional level, can't stop him. Okay. From a lawful effort can be stopped, because here's the thing. If he has at any time said that he is a communist, okay, I don't know if he has. If he has, put it in the chat, yes or no, okay? If he at any time has espoused that he is a communist, then he cannot hold any office in the United States, period. And in fact, because he is trying to, and if he has espoused this, then, which means he said it, then he can actually be imprisoned for it. This came out of I think it was the 30s or the 40s. We were having a real problem with the Communist Party here in the United States. So they made a law and said that you can't do that. And so they could stop him legally if he has actually done it. And if he has, it's probably on YouTube or TikTok or X or whatever, right? And so if they've got him, they've got him. It's that easy. Maybe they'll just let him they'll just let him make his own bed and lie in it. But there's some other things that are happening is you've got Cuomo, who is kind of thinking about continuing on. And you guys have to remember, too, it's just a primary. It's just a primary. It doesn't mean, hey, he's next in line. It doesn't mean anything, okay? It just means that he won the Democratic primary, or the primary for the Democrat Party. So you've still got the current mayor, and I can never remember his name for some reason. And you have Cuomo, who may be still playing, but the current mayor was actually out today announcing his, hey, I'm still running, guys. I'm still running. I'm going to be an independent. So what that's going to do is that's going to water down the Democratic vote. Okay. Nobody's talking about the Republican who's running for it either. We haven't heard anything about him because all we hear about is Democrats fighting amongst each other, because nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? My gut tells me he's probably not, but he won't become the mayor of New York if the people in New York City stop him. That's it. Eric Adams, thank you very much, Ian. And for all the complaining people do, Eric Adams has actually done a pretty damn good job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he screwed up in the beginning with the illegal aliens, but you know what? People make mistakes. And the funny thing is about both socialists, communists, and Democrats, or I'm not going to say Democrats, I'm going to say liberals, all right? Because I don't like using that Republicans, red versus blue crap. But one of the things that people on the left, and especially as far left as you go, they just have a major problem. They're great for sticking together, okay? But they're awful at making decisions, okay? And decisions that are going to affect you as the citizen, right? So it's just crazy. It's like, why? It's like, oh, touchy, kumbaya. And then like a year later, you can't afford anything. And they don't give a crap. They're in. All they care about, it's just a constant, these are politicians. It's just a constant, often constantly trying to keep their jobs. That's all they do. All right, let me go and check the chat here. Some stuff came over on the TikTok side. Let's see here. No tolerance for perverts. As I won't say perverts. There's a huge difference between a pervert and a pedophile. But Jordan says, I'll have to check out your YouTube lives. I hope your girlfriend is okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much, Jordan. I appreciate you. Looks like Rose just typed something over there. Rose is actually one of my members. You guys didn't know that you can actually become a member on YouTube and get like 100% access to this guy, to this thing here over here. So Rose says, crazy, this has been an issue since the 1880s forward. Yes, it was. This has been discussed in length, but nothing was resolved. They have acknowledged the anchor baby, how women came here to have children birth here. Well, here's the thing. So the law that allows for birthright citizenship, okay, was actually for the Civil War, okay, because the Democrat Party and the KKK didn't want black people having any kind of, like, when they lost their slaves, they didn't want their slaves' babies having any rights to anything. That's what this whole law is about. That's where birthright citizenship came from. And so they instituted this law that says that, oh, by the way, you're here. You were born here. Even though your parents were brought over here as slaves, you were born here in America, so now you're an American citizen. And they gave all of them citizenship, right? And then that was it. They kind of just turned it off. They kind of just got the law just flew into the ether, right? That's where it's actually from, Anybody here do HVAC? I do not. All right, let's see here. What do we got here? Okay, somebody was talking. So, user prison number 417-536-153-110. Go to your user settings. And make a name so people can talk to you. Don't be stupid. West Virginia Pappy, he wants city-run grocery stores and 30-minute minimum wage. Yeah, I know. It's like, his goal is to destroy the food industry in New York. I mean, have you ever tried to get food in downtown New York? They've got like little shops all over the place, little food markets all over the place. It's great. But here's the real problem. When you start to talk about state or city-owned food stores or markets, what we're really talking about is controlling the food. It's that easy. So if he decides he wants to have we're gonna put these. Here's the first thing he has to do. He has to say that because he's a communist, he doesn't believe in the free market. In fact, today he talked bad about the free market. Okay, and he has to make it against the law for food vendors to exist, to have grocery stores in the city, right? In order to take over these spots. Otherwise, the city's got to buy like spots. They've got to sell the food at such a low price that it puts the other guys out of business. You know what I'm saying? They've got to move into the convenience industry. There's a lot of stuff that they have to do, but that's not how they do it. They don't do it like in a way that would like drive competition out. They just come in and make a rule that destroys the food industry so that they can step right in. Okay? And that's their goal. That's the goal of the communist agenda. Ian says, there's a loophole. Were your parents brought here by force or did they come here by choice? I'm not aware of this loophole, but I believe you. Let's see here. Jordan says, did you hear anything about what Trump is doing with Rwanda? Yes, Rwanda and the Congo, um, these republics have been at war, God, 50 frickin' years. They're just brutal. Cleansing, getting rid of children, raping women so that a woman gives birth and that has Rwandan blood instead of Congoan blood. You know what I'm saying? Just the craziest shit you've ever seen. Africa is no joke. Okay, it's no joke when you start talking about these places that are all like tribal war and leadership. It's absolutely crazy stuff. But yeah, and so what has happened today is Trump is at 3 o'clock today. I didn't follow up on it, so I don't know what happened. But at 3 o'clock today, he was supposed to have a press conference where they actually had this sign. They signed their peace treaty, so they would stop doing that stuff. Let's see here, followed by creator. These usernames. Oh yeah, I always call out anybody who's still got username 9725633061208. Go into your account settings and make a name. Maverick, good to see you, bros. If I haven't seen you since Christ was a corporal. Nice. Nice. All right. I'm going to take a sip of my cocktail. It's actually just grenadine, orange, and some fizzy water. I was making it for the girlfriend. She's going through these flavor things right now where everything she used to like, she can't stand because the cancer has messed with all of her stuffs. Let's see here. Never heard that one. That's good. Yeah, that's a Marine thing. And let's see, what do we got? We got another one. The FCC versus Consumer Research, FCC funding. The court upheld the Federal Communications Commission's authority to operate a fund providing subsidized internet and phone services to undeserved or underserved communities, rejecting challenges to the program's funding mechanism. So I guess they were trying to go after some money the FCC had set aside to give people free internet, is what that one was all about. And that one kind of got blown. That one kind of blew up in their face. Then this one's actually kind of important, but nobody's talking about it. The Free Speech Coalition, the Texas Age Verification Law. And so in a 6-3 ruling, the court upheld the Texas law requiring age verification for accessing pornographic websites, balancing free speech concerns with state interests to protecting minors. And I don't really have a problem with that. It's like if you want to watch porn, go watch porn, but you should be able to prove that you're a certain age. It's that easy. I don't think children. Listen, pornography has come a long way. Okay, since finding your daddy's Playboys. Okay, it's come a long way. All right, and I don't think it should be that accessible to minors. I really don't. I think it's a little foolish. If you agree, put a 1 in the chat. If you disagree, put a 0 in the chat. Then we'll find out who the perverts are. And don't get me wrong. I love me some women, but there's a lot to be said for kids. You know what I'm saying? All right. So there were some notes on the rulings. The rulings reflected a mix of conservative victories, particularly in limiting judicial overreach and supporting Trump's policy initiatives, alongside affirmations of existing federal programs like the ACA subsides and the FCC funding. Also, there's a lot of posts on X that suggest public sentiment, particularly among conservative users, views these as significant wins for Trump's agenda and parental rights, though claims about abolishing birthright citizenship appear exaggerated, as the court only addressed injunctions, not the constitutional question. Now, these summaries are based on the available sources, that's it. What do we got here? West Virginia perhaps said, did you hear anything about the parliamentary secretary having rules against some of the big bill? Why, yes, I did, West Virginia Pappy. That's our next segment. So if you guys didn't know, so what happens when there's, I don't know if the House has a parliamentarian, but the Senate has a parliamentarian. And the parliamentarian is technically one person, but it's actually a group of people that have an office in the U.S. House. And it's called the parliamentarian. And when they come up with like a bill or something, they give it to the parliamentarian after they add everything to it. You know what I'm saying? And then they have them review it to make sure that it follows the rules, okay? Because the Senate has certain rules for doing things. So the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonough, she removed several provisions from that big, beautiful bill act. It's called the OBBA, believe it or not. She did that due to violations of what's called the Byrd Rule. Basically, the Byrd Rule requires that provisions in a reconciliation bill directly impact federal spending or revenue and are not primarily policy driven. So it's got to do with money, okay? And it's got to do with the budget. It can't be just some willy-nilly crap that they threw in on top of the reconciliation bill. Now, I've got a summary of some of the stuff that they did. It's actually pretty deep stuff, but I've got it narrowed down to where I think most people will understand it. Now, I'm here to tell you guys, if you're running through the jungle with your M16 screaming Trump was winning everything, some things are going to piss you off that I'm going to tell you that the parliamentarian took out of this big, beautiful bill. All right. So the first thing is there's some Medicaid related provisions. Okay. What's up, Bob? Good to see you, man. So there was something called the Medicaid provider tax. And this was a proposal to phase out provider taxes, which states use to increase federal medical funding. And that was taken out of the bill. It was taken out of the bill. And this was intended as a funding offset for Trump's tax cuts, but was deemed non-compliant with the Senate rules. And that's a problem. That's a problem because what you're going to find when I start talking to you, you're going to find out very quickly that a lot of the stuff that we want to happen has been taken out of this big, beautiful bill. Now, there was the ban on Medicaid funding. Guys, do me a favor. We're getting some viewership drops here on the TikTok side. If you could start tapping that screen, making some likes happen over there. What happens is I start throwing down all this knowledge, and people start listening, and they don't participate. So if you could do that for me, I would really greatly appreciate it. It's going to help draw more people in here. Maybe we can get a little bit more education. Maybe we get a little bit more, a little bit more people out of the echo chamber, And we're going to continue on, but I see Drew just put something in here. Let's just let the old people and the people who can't afford health care to fall through the cracks. That's an incorrect statement. That, in fact, it's factually incorrect. That's my very tactful way of saying you are lying. Now, but that would infer that you knew what you were saying. I think that you don't know what you're saying. I think that you're speaking emotionally and not logically. Okay. Because what I really just talked about, Drew, was a way that the federal government wants to offset the payment of Medicaid through the states. That's literally what I was just saying. Okay. How about let's just say they're getting rid of 35% of Section 8 housing? How about that? I haven't read anything about that. Drew, where did you get that information from? Cite your source. I'm very curious. That's right. I am poking you in the eye right now, okay? I'm poking you in the eye right now, all right? Drew, do you really think... Oh, Google, good job. Good job. You're full of shit, Drew. Google. Educate yourself. Come on, man. Don't make me be a dick. I mean, that's my first rule. But here's the thing. Do you honestly think that the U.S. government is going to get rid of almost 50% of Section 8 housing nationally? Are you insane? I mean, that's insane in the membrane. That's asinine. Do you actually believe that crap? You know what I'm saying? That's insane. No, look it up, bud. They already did it. No, here's the thing. I don't have to look it up. I don't believe you. Okay? I don't believe you because the people on the left say so much bullshit, no one believes them anymore. Okay, so Hairball, love your name, dude. Love your. We get it. Move everything to the states, but keep taking the same amount of Fed taxes out. I don't. Where are you getting that information from, Hairball? Because I haven't read anything like that. I've read zero like that. That's not what that portion is talking about. Okay, let me read it again. Maybe you'll figure it out. So Medicare provider tax. Okay, a proposal to phase out provider taxes. Oh, to get rid of taxes, which states use to increase medical funding or Medicaid funding. And it was removed, so it's not going to happen. I mean, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention at all? They're words. It's the English language. You know, if the grammar police were here, they would smack the crap out of you. I mean, it's insane. Don't say stupid things. It makes you look stupid. Okay, so we're going to move on from that. So the ban on Medicaid funding for gender-affirming care, a provision prohibiting Medicaid funds for being used for transgender health care services was struck down. So if you don't want them to stop spending money on gender-affirming care, that didn't make it into the bill. So gender-affirming care will continue until they can get rid of it later. Restrictions on Medicaid. And for the people who aren't paying attention, I'm telling you about the things that they took out of the bill. Restrictions on Medicaid / CHIP for non-citizens. A measure to block immigrants who are not citizens or lawfully permanent residents from accessing Medicaid or CHIP was removed. So there's still going to be there's still a process of where people who are not lawful citizens or not lawful permanent residents, or there's still going to be a process for them to apply for Medicaid or CHIP benefits. And then now we move into judicial power restrictions, a provision limiting federal courts' ability to issue preliminary injunctions or temporary restraining orders against Trump's administration policies was ruled ineligible by the Byrd Act. If you guys weren't paying attention earlier, the Byrd Act is about things that are inside of a reconciliation bill that are not part of the actual, like, the money flow. Okay, limiting federal courts' ability to do things has nothing to do with the benefit. Has nothing to do with money. Let's see here. Rule or Jules. Okay, Jules, I like your name. Jules Rotella. It's like, that sounds like a creamy nutty dish or something like that. Rotella cheese. The Supreme Court seems biased, and it's quite disturbing. Biased in what way? Biased in what way? And the reason I'll ask was because the decisions that came out of the Supreme Court today were either 5-4 or 6-3. I don't know what that would mean as far as bias. Bias basically means there's like an agenda, but if they're just following the Constitution, then bias can never come into play. I would actually look at the people who voted against some of the things happening today to see where bias truly lives. That's what I would do. Rose says, I was kicked off TikTok. They got your IP number, bro. Pilgrim says, don't waste your time, LP. He can only hear the echo chamber. No, that's just it. The idea is, if you run through life doing the same thing every day and no one ever tells you, by the way, you're doing that wrong, or by the way, you're not really doing anything positive with this way, then you're just going to continue to think it is, and then you start believing your own bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. And so if I can help even one person get out of that echo chamber, then I'm just going to keep talking. It's that easy. Let's see here. Rose says, the problem with Medicaid is it is another anchor baby issue. Can't work because I have a child. Can't afford child care on the salary I make, so stay at home and get paid for having more babies. Yeah, that is something that does seem to exist. I think, I hate to say it, but but the solution could literally be to tell women that may be doing this, and I know people have done this, okay, that have been their entire income is based off of their children, right? You just saying, oh, by the way, we're only paying for one child, no more, we're done, one child, that's it. You know what I'm saying? And then I think maybe they would kind of figure out that it's time to do something, because basically what they're doing is their career path is milking off the government, doing nothing, while saying that they're taking care of children. And obviously they're taking care of children, blah, 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 shit like that. If it really goes south, the only people that are really hurt by the whole thing are the kids. It really sucks. Let's see. Roach says they need to work to help pay for their assistance, help stop the cycle of anchor bait. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Absolutely true. Okay, so I've got we're tired, tired to fit. Okay, maybe receive childcare if you prove you work. Yeah, I mean these are all good ideas. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think that's a great idea, because if you prove that you have a job and you still need help, then you can get assistance. And there are programs that actually do that. And oh, you're tired of it. I got you. I'm tired of it. How about an IID for any woman on welfare? They can be both paid for and removed by taxes. Wow, 2K, three mock. Um, I mean, that is I hate to say it, but that is a very, as much as I agree, that is a very 1984 dystopian, my body, my decision, bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so what if there's a complication within the IUD and it kills them? And so how much does the government owe them? And how many freaking kids lose their mom? You know what I'm saying? That's a double-edged sword. I think it's funny. I think it's interesting, but I also think that's a double-edged sword that there's a lot of what ifs that are real world when you start talking about health issues. If you start talking about health issues, it's a real issue, but it's that's some Running Man type shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's see here. And feel free to put things in the comments. I'll definitely address what you guys are talking about. And if not, I've got stuff to talk about. Let's see here. Need to work. It's a generational thing that's been happening for years. Yeah, to an extent. But here's the thing. You could take like an 18-year-old girl, right? And she sees what her mom did with the four other kids. You know what I'm saying? And if she wants to take that path, then someone needs to, one, square her away. But two, if she's more than likely, because the youth don't want to be tied down. You know what I'm saying? She more than likely sees what her mom has been doing and understands it and knows that that's not the direction she wants to do. So I agree that there's a generational issue there, but I also think that, from the perspective of a young person, that they really don't want to get locked down with 5 kids just because they can get a check. Let's see here. Pilgrim says that's what Massachusetts does now, although you get more EBT, food stamps for each kid. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so throw some stuff in the freaking chat and we will talk about that. Well, there we go. Let's see. What about government provided care for those on welfare to force them to work? Government provided care for those on welfare to force them to work. I mean, that could be. The wheels are grinding, man. There's no smoke coming out, so that's not a bad idea. Like government daycare services. Drop your kid off, pick your kid up. You know what I'm saying? Have a 24-hour staff that are all certified. You know what I'm saying? And then just hope it doesn't turn into like kiddie mill type stuff. But yeah, I mean, that could be a thing. That could be a thing. But who's saying that they'd have to prove they're going to work, which is good. But, it's like as soon as they stop working, they lose their daycare. No, I would probably set it up so that they would have 2 weeks to find a job, to prove they have another job. Government child care. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Let's see here. So we also had some gun-related provisions that the parliamentarian kicked out of the big beautiful bill. We've got the Hearing Protection Act suppressor deregulation. Provisions is to eliminate the $200 tax on firearm suppressors and deregister short-barreled rifles were removed as they were deemed primarily policy changes rather than budgetary. And you know, fortunately, that's very true. That's very true. Then you had the Short Act. This is the short-barreled rifle deregulation. A measure to deregulate short-barreled rifles was also struck from the bill. You know, well, we're going to talk about it before I get to the end of this, but it is what it is. You know, state-run tied to employment office. Yeah, that would be smart. Rose says, so you want to treat them as they did the indigenous people. How many had forced hysterectomy or tubal ligations to prevent further births? No, that's not anything of what we said, Rose. That's nothing like what we said. We were talking about IUDs. That's what we were talking about. That the state could put in or remove if you asked for them. That's what we talked about. Ian says government child care kind of sounds like latchkey program to me. I know, right? Hey, I grew up as a latchkey kid, dude. I was home before my parents got home, and I went to school. My parents were already gone, you know. So, and I turned out just fine, just fine. I'm not too happy about the gun stuff being dropped out of it, but I'm really starting to think that they're just going to play cleanup after all this crap, you know. Educational provisions, private school vouchers. A provision to fund private school vouchers was removed as it was considered a policy matter requiring 60 votes rather than a budgetary issue suitable for reconciliation. And then they also removed religious college carve-outs for endowment tax, a provision exempting religious colleges from any endowment tax was invalidated by similar reasons. And then they also went into the earned income credit red tape, and this was a provision. They kicked this out, by the way. Provision adding extra bureaucratic requirements for the earned income tax credit was stripped from the bill as it was deemed not sufficiently tied to budgetary impacts. Absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I don't like it, but it's absolutely true. Gen X, just send them outside, dude. Oh man, I don't know how many times. It's like, go outside, you know. I think that's where the whole thing was, like, be back before the streetlights came, or when the streetlights came on. I think that was inspired by that 1 hour a night where dad came home, ate supper, the kid ran out to play, and then he didn't see him again until it was bedtime or something. Let's see here. We got something in here under the workforce Pell Grants. A proposal to expand Pell Grants to workforce training programs was removed as it did not meet the Byrd rules requirements for direct budgetary impact. And then you've got the state and local immigration enforcement. There's a section of the bill that would have allowed states to conduct border security and immigration enforcement, and it was stripped from the Senate version of the bill. Let's see here. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? Yeah, remember I used to do my evening live streams, and I would put that on there, and people were like, and I had to change it, right? But yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. And then there was some additional comment on this. The bill was referred to as HR 1 is a budget reconciliation bill aimed at advancing President Trump's policy priorities, such as extending tax cuts. However, the Senate parliamentarian rulings have forced Republicans to revise or remove provisions that do not comply with the strict budgetary requirements of reconciliation, which allows passage with a simple majority but limits policy-driven comment or content. Let's see here, and I think that's what I've got. Where we got here, and yeah, that's what I got. That's what I've got. So here we are on a Friday evening, staring at the old guy on the boob tube and saying, what the hell's going on here? What do you guys think about all this stuff we were just talking about? I put something in the comments so we can move forward. I can drink my Philly drink. Hey, Viking Queen, good to see you, lady. Good to see you. Oh, that is not bad. That is not bad. That's literally just some bubbly, some seltzer water, some grenadine, an orange, and some ice. It's freaking delicious. Let's see. Rose says, sorry, where I was raised, we had no street lights on by dark. Back in 1824, we didn't have a dirt road. We just had a path. All right. I'm not seeing a lot of action in the chat here, guys. So I'll give you a few more seconds to bring something up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to shut this thing down. Go back to my girlfriend, which is where I'd rather be anyway. So, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it as usual, or on the TikTok side. Thank you, guys. You're going to see this where it says local prepper. That's going to change to red, white, and real. I'll also be changing some of the other verbiage and stuff like that. So this is going to be, the channel will be changing. On the YouTube side, you're already on red, white, and real. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Yeah, go forward and do good things. Okay? You guys stay safe. Have a great weekend, and I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye. I got to push some buttons now. Yeah, one of these is it. There's so many buttons. Or not. Buttons. Buttons. Buttons.